This is the Hollywood Outsider. I am your host, Aaron Peterson. With me today are my co-host, Scott Clark.
Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
Great. Justin McCumber.
How you doing, man?
Fantastic. And Brian Williams.
What's up, ladies?
Not much. Just real quick, we are an irreverent entertainment podcast where each week we talk about the latest in movie and TV news, review any new releases that are out this week. The main ones are American Reunion and Titanic in 3D, in your face. We have 2 trivia games, Stump the Hoe and What's This Movie? Each week we flash back a DVD of a little-known or obscure film from our podcasters to leave you with. And we also have a little topic that is on ours or our listeners' minds. And this week we're going to talk about a listener's email on the future of digital media. Got that all out of the way. Bam. Pretty smooth, too, I got to tell you.
You're pretty proud of yourself, aren't you?
You're finally getting good at this thing.
It takes me a while.
Do we have to tell people we're irreverent? Shouldn't they just come through?
No, I don't think
we set that up.
I think I kind of have to let them know.
We're called the Ho Podcast.
Well, maybe most people take hoes to be a positive term.
Like we're
I just
Santa
don't ever
Claus?
recall you calling us irreverent before. This seems new,
This is new. I'm trying to.
and I don't like it.
I'm trying to be expeditious. And
It's a new Hollywood
transition
Outsider.
better.
It's a fresh new scent.
I feel like I've just told somebody I'm a comedian and I'm about to get asked that silly question of, hey, say something funny.
Do it.
We're irreverent, so now we have to.
Just dance, monkey. Shut up and dance.
Now I feel under pressure to be funny.
You should be.
God.
I hope you can tell a good X-Men joke. Let's start with the movie news. If this is the first time you've listened, then you should be impressed because that's the first time we've ever made it through that whole intro smooth like. Usually I fumble the whole thing.
That was smooth.
It was smooth for me. Fuck off.
Smooth-ish.
Smoothish. Well, first things first. Paranormal Activity producers Oren Peli, Chris Landon, and Jason Blum are teaming up for a cousin to Paranormal Activity with a Latino-themed offshoot with a full Latin cast and a Catholic mythology.
You know, I think it's a good idea, and I know there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, have had this pushback against the Hispanic community in our country. I mean, hell, in Arizona, they've actually made it to where Latin studies can no longer be taught in school. Every other ethnicity but Latin, and it's as though, for some reason, Hispanics have become the enemy of America, and it really kind of pisses me off to see them, to see that community now have a movie kind of driven in its direction. I don't know if I'd call it a pushback in the opposite direction, but it's cool. And, you know, the Latin community does have such a strong Catholic heritage, and to have a movie that focuses on that, plays on that, I see nothing but this being a really cool idea. And I look forward to seeing it, even if I have to read the damn thing because I don't speak Spanish. But they're a growing community, and I think it is at our disservice to ignore the fact that they are a rapidly growing part of our community.
Okay.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly if this movie was in Spanish, but it's not going to be in Spanish. This is the part that drives me insane because if you're catering to the Latino community, fine, do that, but make it in Spanish.
I don't know. I don't agree with that, sir. And here's
but there are a lot of Hispanics in our country that don't speak Spanish, or if they do, they speak it about as well as I do.
Yeah,
they just come from that.
The first
culture.
Paranormal Activity, it was made for them too. Then.
Well, I don't
Good point.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I think that movie was made for everyone, no matter what whatever you want to call yourself. That movie was just kind of a neutral film, though. There were probably a lot of our black listeners who would say, well, there weren't any black characters, so it certainly wasn't made for me. I don't think that movie was made to target or ignore any community.
So you're saying this is made for Latinos?
If this is what they're doing and they're kind of gearing it towards Latinos, it doesn't have to be in Spanish to still have all sorts of Latin sensibilities in it, Latin characters, Latin locations. I got no problem with this at all, but I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people who do, and they're going to see it as one more kind of Hollywood's capitulation to the invading Hispanic hordes that they seem to envision are out there.
I kind of see what Justin's saying. My wife is Hispanic, and that culture is very specific. It's not like honky culture. It's really not. And they don't all speak in Spanish, and I know some of her family does, but if you met my wife, you'd never even know she was Spanish unless she told you, because she sounds like Valley Girl half the time.
She really does.
Yeah.
She's the whitest Hispanic girl I've ever met.
See? And she's not the only one. Her brother's
She's
the
the
same
Wayne
way.
Brady of Hispanic
Her brother
women.
is Hispanic, but looks like Dean Cain from Superman. So,
Hot.
actually, yes, her family is blessed with good genes. But that culture is very underserved, I think, in terms of actually having something they can go to and say, hey, that's me. Because it is usually whitey on screen.
And then Tyler Perry can work on doing a African American focused version, but with Medea slapping the shit out of whatever demon pops up.
I would pay for that. I hate to say it. It seems like each week we're talking about a new fucking reboot out there, but this week it was announced that Universal is going to go with a darker route and reboot the Mummy franchise.
I actually kind of like this idea, and I hate it at the same time. Because, first off, I didn't even know the Mummy made as much money as it did. I
a shitload.
Did some research in it. Like, the first one alone made over $400 million worldwide, which blew my mind. And as much as I like the idea of the Mummy series getting a little darker tone to it, I think a lot of the appeal for these movies was that there was a lot of lightheartedness in it and funny characters and goofy comedy and that kind of thing. I think that making it darker is not going to be a good thing financially speaking. But that's just me. I think, especially, I mean, are they going to bring back Brendan Fraser and
No, they're rebooting it.
like so completely all
It's
new
a
characters?
it's a whole new franchise. It's a whole new and a darker one. They're supposed to be, because the original, well, not the original, but the recent reboot was very much an action adventure kind of, that kind of Indiana Jones style.
Yeah,
And apparently they're going back to the horror theme style.
I mean, it could
Somebody
be
get
interesting.
Jeremy Renner on the phone.
Yeah, I'm sure he's available.
I
I
don't
need
know.
one more franchise.
I think I like the idea of it being darker. I just don't think it's going to sell as well.
Does
Because
anybody want this? You said you kind of want this, but
kind of. I mean, it's something that I'll be interested in seeing. I think the story is interesting, but I also like the humor in it. I mean, it was cheesy and kind of campy, but it was.
it's Brendan
worked.
Fraser.
Yeah, and I'm on the other side of that fence, though. I don't want the campiness. I like it a little bit darker, a little bit edgier. It doesn't have to be a straight horror movie, but give it a little bit more intensity, a little bit more suspense. You can still kind of have that Indiana Jones kind of feel to it, but just kind of without the campiness. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, my knee-jerk reaction was to be like, shit, yet another franchise that they're going to redo. But I don't mind it if they redo it, but trying to get a whole new spin on it as opposed to, either shot for shot or tone for tone, and doing something that harkens back a little more to the old Universal picture, which, was more of a horror film. I like the idea of that. So I'm not entirely against the notion of returning this franchise to kind of what it used to be, and not make it Indiana Jones light, but more, it's certainly not, Van Helsing, which still had a little bit of a campy tone, but give it some darkness. I think it could work, but it's just, there's been so many reboots that the public may just not, I don't know. We'll have to see, but I'm not against it.
Well, and that's kind of, I'm in the same camp as you guys. Honestly, I just don't think it'll make as much money if they go the horror route. I mean, horror movies in general don't make as much money as
That's true.
as this kind of thing.
Maybe not, but it might not cost as much to make it, because that first film, came on that wave of all that CGI that they were developing that could do all that stuff. But if you're going to go darker, you may not need a lot of that. So they might be actually be able to do it cheaper,
Right.
which could be to the movie's benefit.
I don't know. I'd like to see them take that whole where the mummy is trying to resurrect itself and get the different body parts of everybody, and I could see that getting really, really dark. I'd like to see that with some.
Only if they start ripping off limbs.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, like where
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
it like absorbs their, like he first takes the guy's eyeballs and then that kind of stuff. That could be really cool if it was done in a dark fashion. I'd like to see that.
We'll see. We're a long way out, but I'm sure they'll rush that thing through. It'll probably be available next summer. Moving on to another sequel, Hunger Games Part 2. They're already getting ready to shoot it because they're trying to accommodate Jennifer Lawrence's schedule, because apparently she's the most popular girl in Hollywood right now.
Rightly so.
She is in my heart.
Yeah. So they're going to start that in August. Gary Ross, who's the director of the first one, he finally confirmed. It was like hit or miss. Was he in and was he out? And he finally confirmed he's out. He's not doing it because he doesn't feel like he can do the rush schedule. And they want to hurry up and get it done because she starts filming X-Men First Class Part 2 in January.
Coach.
Yes, Coach. Yeah.
Yeah, she's obviously going to be one of the hardest working girls in Hollywood for the next few years.
For real. Seriously.
'Cause,
I can't wait till she makes a sex tape.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
Aaron.
jeez.
Aaron. Come on. There's plenty of time to go into the gutter. Let's try and work our way down there.
You
not
wouldn't
just
want to watch
plunge
it.
in.
You wouldn't want to watch it.
I'm not saying that. I'm just let's work to the gutter, not cannonball.
Well,
But I guess Lionsgate was looking to kind of reserve her, so to speak, kind of so they could film all of these Hunger Game movies back to back. But I guess all these other companies that have her, agreed to show, to play in other movies are kind of like, nah, this, we're not cool with that. So,
well, they had the option on her first. Fox had the option on her first because of the First Class movie, and then
Right.
she got Hunger Games, and they didn't lock her up in time. So
Yep.
no, they have to make their movie a lot sooner, and they can't make it really without her.
Yeah.
Good. I assume they can't. I never read the books, but I assume they can't. Ben Kingsley is in talks for the unnamed villain role in Iron Man 3. Not directed by Uwe Boll.
Ben Kingsley's name used to be one of those names that really carried a lot of weight to it and a bit of gravity because he was known for, playing some pretty hard roles and doing a great job with them. But over time, he's made some pretty strange choices. I mean, fucking Blood Rain, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm.
What was he doing in a Uwe Boll movie? Other than whatever little paycheck could have come along, what brought him into it? And so, yeah, he's made a few of those choices over the years, and so I don't necessarily see his inclusion to the franchise as something to be happy about. But it depends on what villain that they're going to give him. I've heard talk that they might try to give him a role in what was the name of the character now? I don't remember what it was, but the villain is an Iron Man villain, but who was more supernatural and his abilities more magical. And
the Mandarin.
Right, the Mandarin. Because the Mandarin is of that kind of power, but the previous two Iron Man films have been very much a technology-driven film, they're not sure if that's the route that they're going to go with, and so that's purely speculation. I don't know who else this guy is going to play, but
they actually said he will not play the Mandarin.
Right.
Oh, well, that does it.
I think they've opened it though a bit, especially with Thor and the Avengers coming out. I think people would be more open to a villain that wasn't just another guy in a suit or another guy with a gun. So while it may not be the Mandarin, it could be someone else of a similar supernatural, magical kind of nature, but I don't know. All I know is I want to see another Iron Man. I don't care who the villain is.
That's fair enough. It's just, with those, Uwe Boll, is that how it's actually pronounced? Whatever. Mm-hmm. After those shitty-ass movies that he made, I really don't want to see him in a villain role. He really killed my interest in Ben Kingsley. It was that bad. That bad.
If Ben Kingsley is the Ben Kingsley from Sexy Beast, then I am all aboard.
Yeah. Or even Gandhi. I'd go for Iron Man versus Gandhi. That'd be pretty awesome. Just think about it. That would be fantastic.
I did notice that Iron Man 3 is going to be directed by Shane Black.
Yes.
Who directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He's also known as a writer. He actually wrote Lethal Weapon 2, 3, 4, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Last Action Hero, which may not be everybody's favorite, but I love that fucking movie.
He only wrote
and The Monster Squad. So I definitely think the guy can write a kick-ass film, and I think he's probably going to be able to direct a kick-ass one, too.
He only wrote Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, just so you know. He didn't have anything to do with the shitty third and fourth one.
IMDb lists him as under his writing credits with Lethal Weapon 4 and 3, though it does just say characters, so he may not have actually written the story itself.
That's right. He wrote the first one, which is a great Christmas movie, by the way. The next piece of news, Tom Hanks is in talks, which he hasn't been in a good movie in a long time, but Tom Hanks is in talks to star as Walt Disney in Saving Mr. Banks, about Disney's 14-year courtship like actual Walt Disney's 14-year courtship to obtain the rights to Mary Poppins from P.L. Travers.
I think this sounds kind of interesting, actually. I didn't know that this is a whole new story to me. I had no idea about...
I didn't know it took him 14 years.
14 years to get Mary Poppins? And, I mean, right, kudos to him. It paid off, but...
Mary Poppins was awesome.
Oh, no.
It just seems like a lot of work for 14 years for the story about a maid twirling her umbrella. He couldn't come up with that on his own?
Yeah, what I thought was interesting is that a lot of the reasons she was so... It took so long is because she really held that that character very dearly and was really pissed off about how it turned out. Like, it was not supposed to be all animated and that kind of thing. So I'm interested. I'm not sure about Tom Hanks playing the role of Disney. I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm having a hard time picturing.
I always picture Walt Disney as this sympathetic uncle type that you could relate to, sit down and have a oatmeal with. That seems Tom Hanks to me.
Just visually speaking, what about that guy from The Artist? I mean, he's already got the pencil-thin mustache.
Yeah, I mean that.
Can he not talk the whole movie? Because I'm pretty sure that guy's French. Walt Disney is decidedly American.
Maybe Tom Hanks could overdub the lines.
Yeah, that's true. I could see Tom Hanks is doing this, and I think he's kind of over the course of the last few years and a few poor choices on his part, he's kind of come down off the Tom Hanks mountain. He's back down to where he was many years ago, to where he could pull off a character again. It's not just, oh, that's Tom Hanks. Oh, that's Tom Hanks. Now he's just an actor again. Mostly because he's not as famous as he used to be.
Yeah,
but
he's Woody now from Toy Story.
I mean, that's honestly he's been feeding Rita with, because he hasn't been making many hit movies.
I wonder if the Da Vinci Code is where that started to slide.
No, I think he's sliding a little bit before that.
Mm-mm.
I kind of feel he is a really good actor, though. I would like to see him do something
awesome.
I would like to see him do something really strong again.
Like Road to Perdition, he was good.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, that was awesome.
He's a fantastic actor when he gets quality scripts. But Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, those weren't one of them.
He needs to do Bachelor Party too.
The later years,
those two
the remarriage,
taking him out and put in Nicolas Cage and not skipped a beat.
They could bring in Nick the Dick again.
I miss Nick the... Wait, that sounds wrong to say. Shit.
Should we call you Nick or Mr. Dick? Nick.
He was one of my favorite comedians in the 80s. Beside the point. Next piece, Taylor Lautner is joining the cast of Grown Ups 2. Yeah, and apparently there's a script. I didn't know that they use scripts for these movies, but the sequel is Adam Sandler and his pals hang out pretty much again. But this time Taylor Lautner is going to be involved.
Now, who is he? Is he
Taylor Lautner is the werewolf?
No.
Oh.
I mean, who is?
You've got enough posters of him.
Go look
You
at your
should know who he is
There's
by
a
now.
folder in there with his picture on.
You're trapping.
I mean, he's like way younger than the rest of the cast. It's not like they grew up together. Is he going to put one of their like sons or something? I mean,
It's all it says is he's going to have a fun role. So I think he goes against Adam Sandler in some capacity.
no, so his shirt will be off at some point.
So he's probably
Yeah.
Tickets sold.
Whoa.
Every time you start telling me some story about you and your wife, and then this happens. I love my wife. Oh, Taylor Lautner's got his shirt off? What?
He could be somebody's younger brother for all we know.
Does that movie really need a sequel? Like,
Fuck no.
did it do that well?
No.
It's just a bunch of guys hanging out at a cabin house and then go to a
No, but
water
it made
park.
good money, and Adam Sandler apparently had such a good time making it. I can't blame him for wanting to get those guys together and have another great time, but do the rest of us have to fucking be, be given this film?
yeah. Go buy your own island. Take them out. Take them all there, and y'all just hang out.
I actually
film it if you want to.
I liked the first movie. I thought it was pretty funny, but I don't want to.
It's a good cable watch. You flip channels, you catch it midway, you go, all right, I'll watch this for a couple of laughs.
I did love the bit about Rob Schneider's character had like a hot daughter. Like,
Oh yeah,
that was really funny because that dude is uglier than sin. And like, I was that.
he had
that-
like two hot daughters, and then one homely one that looked just like him.
yeah.
That was a good gag.
That was pretty funny.
If Sandler Sins Grown Ups is not the worst of them.
That's true.
Yeah, Sandler's sins. I'm sure that
Did
And there are
anybody
many.
see the Jack and Jill? Did
it made
anybody-
money, man.
Fuck no.
It made $80 million.
I'm
Really?
self-respecting. No, I didn't see that.
Ugh.
So other people saw it, just nobody on this particular podcast. Thank God. You guys all can retain your dignity.
Thank you.
We'll be watching it this weekend.
Along with Three Stooges.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God.
Captain America
Move on.
2 is launching April 4th, 2014, and apparently picks up where the Avengers leaves off, so we don't know what's going to happen. But April 4th, 2014.
I'm ready, Freddie.
Are you?
Let's do it. I love the first one. And a lot of people were saying that they would love for the sequel to kind of go back. Because in the first film, the whole war through Europe as Captain America tracks the Red Skull. It's a series of montages. And there were a lot of people who were dissatisfied with that and wanted to see more of that. And I know that they talked about they'd love to see a sequel that maybe went back and did all that. But I personally think that's a stupid idea. What happened. So going back and watching him invade a particular Hydra facility is not going to be entertaining. I'm much more interested in seeing how he carries himself in a modern setting, given that he is such a fish out of water. And because Avengers is such an ensemble piece, you're not going to get, I don't think, a lot of story about him fitting into this world, especially in the midst of all these people in this conflict. But another movie, bring in, another potential love interest, give him something that he has to fight on his own, show him struggling as a man out of time. I can't wait to see that. I thought Captain America was fantastic. I just wish that they would bring back the first director, and apparently he's not doing it, and that kind of makes me sad.
Well, they say this leaves off where the Avengers leave off, but I mean, didn't the first one kind of leave off at a cliffhanger? Is that maybe where the Avengers is going to start? I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Captain America is the lead character in this movie.
Okay.
Essentially of an ensemble piece. He's
like
the one. He's the one whose
one.
story filters.
Yeah, it kind of centers around him.
Oh, okay.
More than the others.
Because they've kind of situated him where, and if you haven't seen it by now, it's not a huge spoiler, but he ends up in present day, and they've situated him to where he's basically the audience, where he's taken out of his elements. He has no idea what's going on, and he's kind of our introduction into this world.
Okay.
That brings all of them together.
If I had to guess, the second film will probably bring the Red Skull back in, because, spoiler alert, the Red Skull did not die in Captain America. He disappeared when he grabbed that power cord, touched it, and he did not die. And it's been out there that character will return at some point. I don't think he's going to be coming back for the Avengers, but I'd love to see him come back, and at least the Captain would have a villain that he knew, something that was familiar to him as opposed to everything else around him. So
And that's awesome.
Show him. Maybe you don't see him, but show him in the teaser after the credits.
could be.
Yeah. You know what I don't get is why are they doing it in April? I mean, usually this is a big summer tentpole, and this is coming out April 4th as opposed to May, June, or July.
No idea.
They could
Seems
get
odd.
moved too.
Maybe there's some bigger pictures on the slate that summer.
Yeah, that's probably true. I didn't even think of that.
But April is a bit early though. But still,
that just means I got one movie I can see in April. Okay, now this is the part where we move on to trailers, and each week we catch you up on any of the newest trailers that are kind of catching our eye, and you can always find them on the website at thehollywoodoutsiders.com, trailers, recent episodes. This week there's really two that we saw. The first one is called Savages, and it's an Oliver Stone movie about two drug dealers, one a violent one and one trying to do things apparently the nice way, who share a girlfriend who gets kidnapped by Salma Hayek, and they want her back. That's essentially the plot.
The drug dealer with a heart of gold.
Yes.
I don't know if you got a chance to see this trailer. I did actually when I was seeing a movie in the theater this weekend. This movie came out of nowhere for me, and it looks awesome. This movie looks like really dark and very gritty.
It's got Taylor Kitsch in it from John Carter. Too.
Right? Yeah. Aaron
Is that
Johnson.
who that was? I thought that's who that was, but I didn't get to see the credits at the end of the trailer. So, but I could have sworn that's who it was.
Not to mention the rest of the cast: John Travolta, Salma Hayek, Uma Thurman, Benicio del Toro.
Where was
Now,
he?
who's the girl? Was that Blake Lively?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Blake Lively.
Oh, God, she looked good.
Yeah.
But what is the fucking... They're sharing a girlfriend? Really? That's not going to go bad.
You and Scott have never done that. Okay.
Shh. Not at the same time.
Who got
I mean, but do the guys know that they're dating the same girl?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I didn't pick up on that. So
I think so. It sure seemed that way to me. Because they kept referring to our girl.
I'd be willing to share Blake Lively.
I wouldn't. What is with all this sharing? When is
If it's either not getting half or getting none, I'll get half. Thank you.
I'll take the bottom half.
Oh god, there's so many jokes. I'm not gonna go there.
That's too easy. So who thinks this is a good movie? I'm actually on board with it.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks good. Although, what is this? 2 movies this year with Taylor Kitsch as a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, he's. I don't know if he's a Navy SEAL. He just fucking beat.
Well, he said he's. According to the synopsis, he's a ex. At least he's an ex Navy SEAL.
Oh, gotcha.
What was he Navy SEAL in another movie?
Battleship.
Oh, I thought he was just a Navy dude. A sailor.
Whatever, close enough.
Well, it's in the Navy. Brian's saying he's an enlisted man.
Justin is semantics.
Yes, it's semantics. He's like, I don't believe his actual title. He's
I don't
actually
know what his actual job is, and and what rank
there's a big
was.
difference between a sailor and a SEAL.
He is right on that. One's
No,
one,
I mean I know this.
slopping
I've
food
got an
around.
uncle who was a Navy SEAL, so I mean I'm fully aware of the difference.
I'm a Navy SEAL.
But I know he's got some kind of special deal in Battleship. Way to just fucking kill a joke.
So sorry.
God,
All right, the next one is called Ted.
you are the cancer of humor.
The other one is called Ted, and this is basically Marky Wahlberg hanging out with a foul-mouthed teddy bear. That's really what I got.
This looks fucking hilarious.
This looks great.
I know a lot of people who hate Seth MacFarlane, and for those of you who listen and may not know, if you've ever heard of Family Guy or American Dad, Seth MacFarlane is the guy who wrote them, does most of the voices for those shows, and my brother amongst them. There are a lot of people who hate Family Guy, who do not like Seth MacFarlane, and to them I say, poo on you. I love Family Guy, and this movie, which is written by Seth MacFarlane, the Ted character, the teddy bear, is voiced by Seth MacFarlane, and I think it looks fucking hysterical.
It's like a terrible idea and concept, but when you see it in action in this trailer, it freaking works. It is so funny.
I mean, when he's deep throating that banana to try and titillate some cashier, and she looks at him all stunned. He's like, "Oh, that's where we draw the line." Okay. I about laughed myself off my chair.
What cracks me up about this universe is that everybody is just okay with the fact that there's a walking, talking teddy bear. Like nobody's like,
Well, no, what's even better
it's
is
not a major surprise to anybody.
yeah.
on our website, we're going to have the Red Band trailer, which has profanity and the foul mouth.
The best trailer.
But you can find the one that's like the G-rated, the one you're going to see in theaters. It doesn't even look like the same movie.
Nope.
He's like, I'm a young kid and I had a magical dream and I made a wish for a talking friend and bam, my teddy bear talks to me and oh golly, what am I going to do? Then you watch this one, I'm like, what is the difference here? This is not the same movie at all.
Completely different.
Well, in the Red Band trailer, you see Ted token up on a bong.
Yeah.
But in the Green Band trailer, they have digitally removed that bong. He's just kind of standing there or sitting on the couch, moving awkwardly. It's like, all right, people, we have now gone a little too far. I think it looks really funny. I love Seth MacFarlane. I don't know if I'll go see this in the theaters because again, I'm not a big comedy theater guy, but I will watch this film.
Oh, I'll be seeing it in the theater. That's a movie I want to see on opening weekend with a packed theater.
Make sure you go to our website and check that trailer out. It's worth it. It's
looks
awesome.
great.
Before we move on, real quick, you can always find us on thehollywoodoutsiders.com. You can subscribe and review us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. You can find us, give us a thumbs up, or any other RSS feed, and we're also available on Twitter at h_outsider.
Stump the Hoe.
Stump the Hoe, our weekly little contest for one podcaster to try to stump the other podcasters. This week, it's Mr. Brian's turn. Brian, try to stump us hoes.
All right. So, kind of going with the Mary Poppins thing here. How many films personally produced by Walt Disney have been nominated for the Best Picture Academy Award? 0, 1, 2, or 3?
How many say that again?
No. How many films personally produced by Walt Disney
Okay.
have been nominated for the Best Picture Academy Award?
Oh.
0, 1, 2, or 3?
I'm going to go with 1.
I'm going to go with 0.
Justin?
I'm going to go with Scotty. I think 0.
Well.
All right.
We'll
find
find
out later on in the podcast.
There you go. So stick around and you can hear what the answer is. I don't even know the answer to this one. Damn it.
I don't even.
What?
Like you know all of them.
I'm just saying. I'm a pretty well-versed hoe.
You know, you're pretty good at movie trivia.
Yeah, I am.
I am a little bit better.
This is true. He beat me on Seen It. I don't know how many times. Let's go on to the big screen. That's where each week we talk about the newest releases that are out. We're going to review American Reunion and Titanic 3D. Justin's going to take another look at the Hunger Games, and we've got a viewer. What?
Just call it Justin's late to the party segment.
Is he like a week behind, like every week?
Oh, that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
time.
we've got a listener review actually to read. But before we get to those, real quick mention of last week's episode 36. We talked about the movies that should be hitting theaters right now, and that's Cabin in the Woods, which is at 90% positive reviews.
Woohoo!
Lockout, which is at 31% review, positive. I guess that would be negative reviews.
That makes me sad. That
Or less
looks like
positive.
So much fun.
31% less positive. And Three Stooges, which has no reviews, which basically means even the studio knows it sucks. So we, as the whole podcast, all picked Cabin in the Woods as our pick of the week. So if you're hitting the theater this weekend, make sure you see Cabin in the Woods.
And buy popcorn.
With that, we're going to go talk about American Reunion. Scott went and saw this timeless classic, the fourth in the series. What is it about?
Am I the only one that saw this movie?
Well, I'm sure there's other people in America that
No, I mean on the show. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so American Reunion's the fourth movie in the American Pie franchise, and I know a lot of people, including Aaron, let out a unanimous groan when this was originally announced. Like, why do we need another one of these? But it begs to be said for me that the original American Pie was released about the time I graduated from high school. And I know Justin wants to kill me right now for saying that, but this was a time in my life when I was like breaking away from my parochial school roots and that kind of thing.
He's going to make it the Scott podcast.
No, just give me a second.
I still had a little apple goo on his dong.
Oh, you could take it there? Really?
So I love this movie as a kid simply because it was so raunchy. I'd never seen anything like it. And, I actually saw Porky's like way later and after this movie came out. So, with that said, I went into this movie expecting this to be a guilty pleasure kind of thing. Like I was going to like it just because of nostalgia, and there was some of that there. But I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this film. They didn't try nearly as hard for the bad jokes as they did in, especially the second and third movies. So a lot of the laughs felt very genuine. I was genuinely laughing, not just because.
What's it about?
What's it about?
Yeah.
Well, it's just what it sounds like. American Reunion. It's all the cast of the characters basically from the original American Pie. Well, the main ones kind of get together. They're going to a class reunion, school reunion back at their old high school, and this is 10 years later, 10 or 12 years later, and Jim is married to Allison Hannigan's character. They've now got a child. Each of the four main characters, the one guy was a jock, the one guy was, what would you call him? What would you call that? They call him Shitbrick in the show. He's, so you got all these different characters, and they kind of decide to meet together at the reunion, and typical stuff happens. Stifler acts like an asshole, like normal. Poor Jim, just bad stuff happens to him all the time, usually sexually related. Still.
Doesn't he have like two kids in this movie?
He's got one, but what happens is he's not even trying to do anything or not trying to get in trouble, and it's genuinely funny what happens. It's a lot of fun, but what makes this movie so good is that how much they included everybody from the original, and which to me is arguably the best one in the series.
They're all free.
What's that?
They're all free.
None of them are booked.
Yeah, none of them are booked.
Well, yeah, that was a lot of it. That's kind of I'm sure it was real hard to get a hold of Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah, Tara Reid's available too. From what I hear.
Oh, yeah, what is she doing? Sure, and like I said, a lot of them were cameos, and but still, it was cool that they got nearly the entire gang together because like the last two especially were really bad. I thought, like especially American Wedding was not good. It was very awkward.
It wasn't funny at all.
It wasn't really funny. This felt genuinely funny. And it didn't seem too forced as the others did. I think the second wasn't too bad, but the American Wedding was just like they're trying too hard. This was a nice backup to go there. So there couldn't have been a more apt title for this flick. I mean, it really felt like a reunion of a group of characters that I've known for over 10 years.
Does he fuck a pie?
No, it's not fuck a pie. I'm sorry, but
I kind of feel disappointed at this point.
But there's plenty of stuff that things happen to different characters that actually made it for a clever writing instead of just cheap sex jokes. I mean, there was some funny stuff that like kind of things you wanted stuff to happen to characters in the previous ones, and they kind of finally do.
Yeah.
And at the risk of sounding cheesy, it ended on a very heartwarming note.
Did it end like, okay, we realize this is the last one?
Yes and no. I mean, they kind of opened it up for like, maybe we should, get together once a year kind of thing and all meet here.
Just in case for a huge success?
Yeah, exactly. You know how like at the end of the movie, or actually in the first one, they all sit at the table and the next step kind of thing. So you knew there was going to be a sequel. They kind of end it that way, this one in that same fashion, but it's tied up enough that if they don't do another one, it's fine. So I guess it depends on how well it does, which we'll talk about in a little while. But a lot of my like for this movie stemmed from the fact that the characters are starting to get old, just like me. So I could relate to them very, very easily. They're coming back and they're seeing all the high school kids now, and they're kind of the outcast kind of group. The characters don't look as attractive in this as they did 10 years ago. I mean, obviously, but they make them look even worse than they do in real life, I think, a little bit just to...
So older women are automatically uglier than younger women? Is that what we're saying?
Yes. No.
Is
no,
that the takeaway?
Of course not.
I wasn't going there, but
Wow.
I don't know. This is a movie that
he's saying that the characters, they look older. They look worn.
Even the guys, I mean, they just don't look as young and attractive as they did in the first movie when they were supposed to be in high school. And now they're in their mid to late 30s, and they're not looking as good anymore. They're not looking as attractive as the new fresh actors in the movie. So,
well, not to mention you already had like 26-year-olds playing high school students the first time.
Right.
So
they're
they're probably 64 years old by now.
So this movie was exactly what I needed, to be honest with you. I went and saw this with a buddy of mine, and I just laughed out loud throughout. I had a lot of fun with it. The awkward moments felt just as awkward as in the first one. It's getting a solid 9.0 for me. And the reason it's not getting a perfect score for me is I can't in good conscience give any movie that has Tara Reid in it a perfect score.
You're giving it 9 out of 10?
9 out of 10. I liked it that much. I could not...
Damn.
There wasn't a whole lot I didn't like about it. I mean, every scene was funny. I could have done with...
I don't know. We might have to take your credentials away.
I understand I'm probably going to be in the minority in this review, and I'm okay with that.
No. I haven't seen it, so I can't really... To be fair, I couldn't judge it.
I mean, I had a ton of fun seeing this movie. It was... And granted, the timing of it was probably perfect for me. I needed a good laugh, and it hit the exact right chords for me at the exact right time. So, understand with a lot of the nostalgia with me, that's a lot of why my score is up. I just enjoyed this movie, had a lot of fun with it, and I wish I could see it again for the first time.
Okay.
Well, hit yourself on the head real hard and then go back.
Let's see if you feel the same.
Again, that's a 9.0 for me. I know it's not going to be 9.0 for everybody. So
okay, I don't know what 9.0 is, but he gave it 9 out of 10. Well, I'm just saying, this isn't like meta review. Speaking of nostalgia, I went and saw Titanic 3D because everybody wants to see people plummet to their death in 3 dimensions. This is a movie that it's semi-nostalgic for me, I guess. It's the first movie I ever saw with my wife. I know. But she was actually on a date with a richer, much prettier dude, so it actually wasn't even I wasn't on a date with her. She was with somebody else.
wait, what?
Oh, so you're just in the same theater as her.
Yeah, we were just watching the same movie together. She just knew who the right one was. You know what I'm saying? Dude.
And she kicks herself every day for making the wrong choice.
Every day she wonders, what could have been?
What could have happened?
I could have had so many more shoes.
Well, basically, if I need to explain what Titanic is, okay, I will. You basically have Rose, who's a rich... Do I need to explain it to everybody?
Who hasn't seen Titanic?
Actually, I'm being surprised by how many people have not seen Titanic. They keep
Do
telling
you
me...
know how many young people actually thought Titanic was strictly a movie? They didn't know it was actually based on a real event.
Well, here's a real conversation I had with my friend Tyler. He says, I've never seen Titanic. I said, what do you mean you've never seen it? I've never seen Titanic and I have no desire to see it. And I know how it ends, is what he says. I said, it's not really about that. Dude, it's called Titanic. It's exactly about that. But it's really not. It's really one of the few movies where they take the disaster and they actually just made this cliched love story circled around it. Well,
in fairness, I mean, Tyler, posted on Facebook yesterday about how he liked a Justin Bieber song.
Yeah,
That's
a really good point.
He can't sit still long enough to sit through a 3-hour movie.
This is true. Well, basically what happens is Rose is an heiress, or she's marrying rich money. Her mother wants her to marry rich because she wants to keep her style, her class of life the same. And basically they're broke, and if she doesn't marry this rich guy played by Billy Zane, they're going to lose everything. Jack Dawson is Leonardo DiCaprio. He's nobody. He wins his ticket on the Titanic in a poker game, ends up on the ship. They set off to sea, they meet, they fall in love, accidents happen. Most people know what this story is. What most people really want to know is it worth going to see in a theater again? Because so many people saw it in theater the first time. And what cracks me up is that now, because it's one of those movies that became so popular that people started, the backlash just of course had to jump on because people have to hate things that are popular for some reason. And so now you've got people that say, oh, that movie's awful, that movie's so stupid, it's so cliche, da-da-da. Yet they saw it 6 times in a theater. I don't quite understand that, but my thoughts are that I think it looks beautiful on the big screen. It was just like the first time I saw it. I still think it's a magical movie. I don't care what anybody thinks. Fuck the haters. I know that the story is very cliched, but it's told beautifully. I love the old-fashioned cheesy approach that James Cameron took. I think he was trying to. Yes, he wanted to show the suffering through the entire event, but he also knew that you have to have characters that you care about for that to happen. And so I think he told this very cliched story, but the story plays. Mm-hmm. The actors really make it work. If it wasn't for them, I can't say that it's going to play the same. But Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, they're both wonderful together. They still are. And it was actually nice to see DiCaprio because he was so fun in this movie versus what he does now where he's stoic and angry and carries the world on his shoulders in every role he takes. And, every movie he makes, I think there's a blood diamond involved now. But back then he was fun. He had a lot of fun. And Kate Winslet just looked gorgeous, and I would still run off with that girl in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How was it 3D?
3D was amazing. Special effects, first of all, hold up remarkably well. For a movie that's 14 years old, I didn't doubt the effects at all. So if they touched them up, because I don't remember, I haven't seen it in so many years, I didn't notice it. It looks like the exact same movie, but the effects are that good. The 3D looks really good in some spots, especially the second half where the iceberg attacks. Because let's face it, that thing came out of nowhere.
It had it in for that ship. Oh, biggest ship, huh? Yeah, we'll see about that bitch.
Yeah, just came in and took it out. Bam. Once the second half rolls, which everybody that has seen the movie knows, the first half's the love story. The second half is them going through this disaster and Cameron showing the different things that did happen. The special effects were amazing from that point forward because you have so much depth, and I think it adds a little bit to the drama. Now, granted, a lot of that is just seeing it on the big screen. Just seeing it on the big screen again makes it that much more powerful of a movie to me. But especially the 3D, I don't think it was overdone. There's nothing, obviously, because it wasn't filmed in 3D, there's nothing thrown at you. It's not like, oh, here's an iceberg at your face. It's very much depth and perception. And it's done very well. I just don't understand some of the hate that some people have for this movie.
I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of hate for this movie.
There is.
Oh, God, yes, there was.
I told people everybody's making fun of me for going to see Titanic. I'm like, you didn't see it? Well, yeah, but I wouldn't watch it again. Well, you watched it 6 times the first time.
Oh, man, I love that movie.
Yeah, well, more people need to be proud of it instead of trying to jump on the hate bandwagon. I'm not one of those people. If $10 is full price of admission, I pay $10.
Yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
I think it's one of those rare movies that I say is a product of its time, sure, but it's a perfect movie, in my opinion. And I think it's an old-fashioned love story with huge dramatic effects, and it's just done well.
Is that our first perfect? Was it our first 10 out of 10?
That's my first one. I don't know about anybody else's.
Awesome.
I mean, if we kept a database of this stuff.
Yes. I don't know. Why don't I work on a spreadsheet?
All right.
Now, Justin, you saw Hunger Games. What'd you think?
Yeah, I went to go see it this Sunday. My wife finally said, you know what? I'm just not going to go see it. I don't want to hit a theater, so you go without me. Cool. I think it was more just her wanting to get my ass out of the house for a little while, and I'm fine with that, too. Of course, we've talked about before. I've read the books. I read all 3, so I knew kind of going into it what the story was going to be about. Make it quick, I really enjoyed the film. The only complaint you guys mentioned that really I can't quite agree with, and it seemed to be all of you didn't like that the action sequences were so frantic, that there wasn't, a still camera, or you didn't really get to see some of the action play out more because there was a lot of motion. Mm-hmm. And For me, if I'm going to watch a film that has, Jason Statham or Jean-Claude, if it's a movie about a lot of gunplay and the style of what they're doing is what's most important, then yes, I want shots where I can see the kicks and the hits and the guns going off. But in this kind of movie and in this kind of story, the action, it's not about that. It's more about the character's sense of chaos and confusion and the deadly nature of what's going on. And for me, when the camera does do a lot of motion, when there isn't just a still focus on one thing or another, it adds to that sense of what the fuck is going on. I've been in a few fights in my life, and when they're over with, I couldn't remember a thing about it because my mind wasn't operating at a level where I could remember beat by beat by beat the things going on. And so I like that idea. I like an action scene of this sort with these characters in these environments that you don't get a very stylized and easy to follow action. And so I enjoyed that. And I thought the changes that they made to the story, for the most part, really worked. No, in the books, the Mockingjay pen was given to Katniss by a completely different character. But within the confines of the movie, you just don't have time to establish who that character was, why she gave it to Katniss. And so her buying it, and I'm not spoiling anything, it's the first 10 minutes of the movie. Katniss buys this Mockingjay pen, gives it to her sister as a good luck token, and then when Katniss volunteers to take her sister's place, her sister gives it back to her, giving her that good luck back. And that worked. In the film, it worked. And I liked the actors. I liked the way they did pretty much everything in this film. The only thing I wish they had done more was to focus a bit more on the other tributes from the other districts. In the book, you get a much better sense of who these people that she's competing against are. Even though it's not, these deep character moments, their names, you get more of a look at who they are. And in the film, it's a lot more shallow presentation of these people. In fact, I don't even think I can recall a single name of them from the movie. Mm-hmm. All in all, though, I thought they did a remarkable job of turning that story into a movie that made sense and that flowed really well. I'm sad that the director who did this won't be going on to do the next one, but each book has a different feel and vibe to it. So I think if you can get a director who will match up with Catching Fire's vibe, then it will be okay. But Jennifer Lawrence was absolutely magnificent as Katniss. The love triangle was very surface level, which it really kind of was in the book too. Though in the book you get a lot more of Katniss's thoughts as to how she feels towards Peeta and how she feels towards I'm blanking on his name, the guy Gale. Oh. Gale back in District 12. My only complaint in the books was always this back and forth. Who do I like? Who do I don't? I always kind of found that a bit tiring. They didn't do that as much in the movie, and so I liked it. Unfortunately, a lot of people kind of felt like her relationship with Peeta seemed kind of forced, but that actually makes sense because in the movie it is forced. She doesn't really love this guy as deeply as he wants her to. She loved him as much as she needed to get sponsorship and to carry him through. So that actually made sense to me. All in all, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10, maybe, $8.50 out of $10. I really enjoyed it.
That's fair enough. I mean,
and it's definitely better than the Twilight movies have been, if you're looking for movies based on books for a young adult audience.
Absolutely. And if you want to hear longer, in-depth conversation on Hunger Games, we had episode 35 was one where we wanted to detail with that. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you liked it. Pretty much, we're all in unison, except we differ on the action scenes, that direction. But we also have this week a listener review email from Dustin. He went and saw Mirror Mirror, and he wanted to share with us, so I'm going to read this real quick. It says, Dear Hose, after listening to the Hose reviews on Wrath of the Titans, I had strong intentions to watch the movie. But my wife wanted to watch Tarsem Singh's Mirror Mirror. Sounds like you lost the battle. That being said, I was dragged into the theater to watch this fairy tale with gritted teeth. Coming into the opening credits, I knew that Sing's visuals would be pleasing, but I didn't expect much more than that. It was nice to see Julia Roberts break out of her usual boundaries to play the antagonist. It did seem she could have had much more fun with this role if it wasn't for the awkward dialogue she was given. As for Lily Collins, aside from her natural eyebrows, and that's in quotes, so I assume she has what, a unibrow or something?
I don't know.
I don't know. I looked past that and found her perfect for this role, so she was a perfect Snow White. She was stunning and not overshadowed by Julia Roberts' screen presence. The story is only a whisper of the original Snow White. We see some similarities, but the movie did take several liberties. Names of dwarves as well as their role in the story. The dwarves seem to have been pigeonholed into comic relief as well as their tongue-in-cheek antics. And I found myself rolling my eyes as I have seen the same shallow humor in most Happy Madison productions. That's Adam Sandler's company. After the credits, we left while I go through my routine of asking what she thought of the movie. Most of the time, she just replies, "It was okay, nothing great, but okay." But she floored me when she said it was a nice, feel-good movie, and I liked it. I had to think back, and it did seem that while I sat there with a biased opinion of the movie, most families with children genuinely laughed at the simple jokes and juice box humor. I give the movie 5.5 out of a $10 ticket. It would have been $4, but knowing that this was hitting kids with all cylinders, and while my wife thought it was a nice feel-good movie, it deserved more than that. Now, normally we wouldn't read a long review like that, but it's a movie we're not going to see. So we felt we'd give it its due accordance. So that's Mirror Mirror from listener Dustin. Whew. Okay, box office, real quick. Hunger Games once again was number one at $33 million. That thing has made $300 million already.
In what, 3 weeks?
3 weeks. 3 weeks. So they'll probably make a second one. American Reunion actually did not do very well. It opened with $21 million, which actually means it sold less tickets than the first movie did when it came out. So
it wasn't marketed as much as
I thought it was marketed the shit out of. I saw it everywhere I looked, man.
I saw commercials here and there, but
every show I watched, there was an American Reunion commercial that I saw.
Which it would have done better if American Wedding didn't exist.
I think it would have done better if it was 15 years ago. It's just I think it's one of those things where it's gone.
The window is closed.
Yeah, the window's closed. Plus, I think the direct to DVD movies killed it.
Yeah,
I really think if they wouldn't have had those stupid ass, not sequels, spin-offs or whatever they are, that would have helped.
That and like I said in my review, this is geared towards my generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And this kind of stuff isn't as funny to the younger generation anymore. So, like you said, like Brian said, the window's closed.
Nope. And Titanic 3D made $17.2 million, which granted, it has already made $600 million, so it's not like they're hurting, but that wasn't as good as they thought. That said, apparently, and it's doing very well overseas, and in China it opened yesterday and made $11 million in one day. That's the biggest day ever in China.
Really?
For any movie, yeah. And that's a movie that's 14 years old. So
they were all in there recording it.
Yeah, they love the fact that Americans went down to the bottom, apparently. I don't know.
Wow, you went there.
Just wait. We'll take the rest of you. Coming attractions. Every week we talk about movies that are upcoming, and then we each pick one, what our favorite pick of the week would be. For April 20th, these are the releases coming out. The first one is called Chimpanzee, just in time for Earth Day. It's a Disney film following around a baby chimp named Oscar, suddenly left alone and forced to fend for himself. Before, real quick, I just want to ask, all these guys were filming it. Why didn't somebody call this chimp a cab? Let's just say.
They didn't want to mess with nature.
They don't want to fuck with nature.
These movies are becoming very popular. These documentaries about animals. Wasn't there one about lions or something recently?
Yeah, it was like African cats.
Cats. Like, this is no exception. But this one, I don't know. This is nothing I'm going to go to the theater to pay money to see. The only appeal for these movies is just how gorgeous they look in high definition. Like we talked about a little bit last week, like Planet Earth was kind of spawned the whole thing. They look amazing.
Planet Earth looks amazing.
Yeah, and I'll bet you. I would assume that this does as well, but I don't have a whole lot of desire to go spend $13 to go see the Discovery Channel kind of thing. I don't know. It's just not for me.
I'm right on board with you. I love to watch them on TV, and Planet Earth I'll give it an exception to because that was just amazing to see in an IMAX theater. But I don't want to see a chimp for 2 hours and I got to pay $15 for it. I can watch that on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else dying to see this?
No,
Like,
not
it's-
really. Not really to go.
Nope.
Go to the movies and pay for it.
Yeah, well, I will see if it makes you. I mean, I guess if you have children and you want to pretend like you love nature, as you drink out of your non-recyclable cup and whatever. The second movie coming out is called Think Like a Man. It's based on a book by Steve Harvey, and the film follows 4 men who are dating women who suddenly take Steve Harvey's book advice to heart. And then apparently the guys want to flip the tables back. It's got Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, and a lot of other African-American actors. I don't know. It seems like this movie's been done. It was like called Booty Call or whatever.
I have a whole lot of desire to see it.
Stella got her groove back. It's just one of those. It's just another one of those movies. It looks kind of cute. Maybe catch it on cable or something, but I'm not paying money to go sit in the theater watch it.
Do people really want to see this? I mean, these kind of movies rarely ever make a lot of money, but they keep churning them out left and right.
Well, it's like I said a long time ago, that audience is, I think, kind of underserved for films that are specifically oriented to them. I think Tyler Perry's success, as I said before, is kind of an indicator of that. I will not get into a long racial discussion on this, but I do think that Caucasian films make up the vast bulk of, and while they won't be called that, when the vast majority of your cast is Caucasian, that's kind of how it looks. And so films that are made for a different audience, they don't come around that often. So when they do, they're probably going to make quite a bit of money. And I actually like Steve Harvey. I've seen a couple of his comedy specials. I think the guy is incredibly funny. And, well, I'm not going to go to theaters to see this. When it comes out on, rental, I might give it a rent.
Yeah.
It just
See, I
seems-
can't stand Steve Harvey, but
I think he's
That's-
funny.
that's that's just me.
The thing I don't like about it is you watch the commercials and it seems to be enforcing every bad stereotype.
Mhm.
And every
I can
weak,
agree with that.
every weak and simple stereotype that you associate, that you would assume that people, filmmakers especially, would try to get away from at some point.
Elevate their craft a bit.
Yes, do something. I mean, you got to have basically the ladies' man, then you got the crazy black man. That doesn't. I would think you'd try to get away from that
Blang,
at some
blang.
point. Yeah, it's not funny. I mean, I'm sure it's funny to a certain portion of the audience, but I don't know. If you're trying to rise above, then you should try a little harder.
Mhm.
Stop writing stereotypes, but whatever. The last movie is Zac Efron in The Lucky One. That's a novel. I dare call it a novel, where he plays a Marine, which that just makes me laugh right there. It's Zac Efron, Marine.
I don't know. I saw the trailer. The guy actually, he certainly looks like he's grown a bit,
Mm-hmm.
hit the gym a little bit. I've never seen a Zac Efron movie, so I don't know if I can judge his acting quality, but I've seen enough trailers to kind of know he looks a little tougher, a little rougher in this, but it's based on a Nicholas Sparks novel, and I know you said it's based on a novel, but you don't know if you'd call it that. Nicholas Sparks, while he may not write shit for you, the guy writes a lot of work that a lot of people enjoy, and a lot of films have been based on his books. Message in a Bottle, A Walk to Remember, The Notebook, Dear John. These are all movies based on his books, and his books sell huge. This movie doesn't necessarily call out to me, mostly because I've never watched Zac Efron, so I don't know what he's going to bring to a film. But, it's a movie about him being a Marine who just, while he's on a tour in Iraq, finds a picture of this woman, and it seems to be a good luck charm for him. And when he gets back to the States, he goes to look for her as her being that charm, and tries to find out what might go on from that. It looks sweet. It looks nice. I prefer. I like my romance a bit more rom-com-y. I like the When Harry Met Sally's more as opposed to just a straight romance film. I've never actually seen The Notebook, though I do actually want to see it. And I don't know. I'm not going to shut the door on this film. The actors look fine. It looks pretty. We'll see. Who knows?
Doesn't it sound?
There's a fine line between romance and stalker.
Yeah.
You could re-edit this movie and make this a stalker film.
Oh, sure.
About how I find a picture. Okay, she's hot. I'm going to track her down and then go to work at the same place that she works to get to know her better.
That's
fucking scary.
It could be, but come on.
I'm telling you.
There's got to be some explanation.
You re-edit that and just not even very creatively, you've got a completely different movie and a fucking restraining order.
Yeah. Maybe if you
but
threw
how
in
many
Munchausen
movies
syndrome, she might start to love him, but odds are no. No, it sounds creepy. The whole thing sounds creepy. Really
Well,
does.
and that will probably come up in the story when she finds out the truth of why he's there. I'm sure she'll get that stalker vibe, but then she'll just look into those eyes and fall in love.
I'll tell you what. One way or the other, I'll fly you, or either I'll fly my wife. But the two of you can go see this together.
Sure. All right.
That seems like
I'll
a
send
really
her out,
expensive
I'll send her out to
ticket.
Dallas, or maybe we'll both come out and I'll go check out some action movie with your wife or something. I don't.
So if you
So,
had,
so if $10 is the full price for admission, Brian would pay $350.
I would pay $400 to fly my wife out there.
It seems really expensive.
so Brian, out of the three, which would be your pick?
Yeah, which would be your pick?
Damn. Give me a fucking bullet. I'm gonna go chimpanzee.
Oh wow,
I'm going to go chimpanzee as well.
I'm gonna go the lucky one.
I'm going to go lucky one.
Oh, well, Brian, we can go to the movie together.
And Scott and I will cuddle up.
Yeah, we'll hold
We'll
hands.
bring a blankie.
You know what? It seems appropriate that you two went to this one. Just saying.
We'll chat about George Clooney.
Yes.
What's this movie?
Well, that's it for the big screen. Now we're going to move on to What's This Movie? Every week we have a little movie clip that we play and see if you guys can guess what it is. If you think you know what it is, you can go to Twitter to H_outsider or email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Last week's answer was Casablanca. And Sean M. is the only one that got it right.
I'm shocked because that is a pretty well-known scene from that movie.
You know what? But maybe we've got a lot of kids listening. You know what I mean? A lot of the kids.
Punk ass bitches. You need to see Casablanca. It's awesome.
This week I get to pick, so here's my clip.
I know what kind of guy you were. I never would have agreed to work with you.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite? What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. Would you repeat it? Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite? Oh, Christ. Hey, look, you two ass.
And that was our clip. If you think you know what it was, then email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Okay, moving on to the couch. That's where we talk about TV news, DVD, whatever else is going on. First things first, Jimmy Smits is joined Sons of Anarchy as a Latino gang leader.
It's kind of be neat to see him as a bad guy, I think.
Is he going to be taking over the Mayans, or is this going to be a completely new gang?
I would assume it'd be the Mayans. It just seems like that's where it would fit. They haven't officially said that I saw.
Oh, I cannot wait for that show to come back.
Yes. That comes back in, I think, June, right?
Yes.
So it's only a couple months away. And next, one actually kind of a sad piece of news. Saturdays are officially now no longer carrying new content on major networks.
I think this has something to say with just where our society is going. I mean, Saturday nights is not really a TV night for us anymore as people. I mean, Saturday nights is when you're going out or you're doing something with the family or hanging out with friends. I mean, Saturday night is not a night that I like earmarked to watch TV.
Yeah, but it used to be.
Right,
What
that's
happened?
what
It used to be.
That's what I'm saying.
No, no.
Yeah, well, that was when you only had. That's when you had to get up and actually turn the TV by hand.
That's true, and you had 4 channels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You had 4 and then you had the one that
Yeah.
had 90 different ones. But yeah, I mean, I understand the history behind it. That like what they said, like MASH was originally on Saturdays. That was a big deal.
It's actually, I remember when I was growing up, and not to date you, youngin, but, it was before your time. Mm-hmm. And Saturday was the night to watch TV.
Really?
I mean, that was a great night to watch TV. Thursdays and Saturdays. That was pretty much when all the good shows were on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just always doing something else with friends or out and about on Saturdays.
Yeah, but they had alcohol when I was a kid, so I don't know why all of a sudden.
No, I mean, like I could see like nowadays Sunday is a day that I kind of earmark to watch stuff, not necessarily on TV, but like
the Lord's Day. That's when you decide I'm going to
No,
watch
it's
television.
Madman's Day.
it's Game of Thrones Day.
That's fun. Wow, the Day of the Lord, Game of Thrones, that goes together.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm not too surprised. I think it should have happened a while ago. Actually, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's mainly, sports is pretty much taking it over.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Fox, like 28 out of the next 32 weeks or something like that, has got some form of sports being aired. They've actually
the
dropped
Olympics
Cops.
are coming up.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true. I didn't even know Cops and America's Most Wanted were gone. I thought that those shows were still on, but apparently they're going the wayside too.
I always liked it when I saw Cops was in Fort Worth. I'm like, let me see if I know where they're at.
You hear a knock on your door and you freak out.
There have been a couple of occasions where I'm like, oh shit, I know exactly where that is.
Justin runs out. Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do?
Justin's like, I picked a bad night to wear a wife beater.
Last piece of TV news. This is actually kind of cool. Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey are going to star in an 8-episode series called True Detective, about two detectives whose lives intersect throughout the course of 17 years, searching for a serial killer in Louisiana.
Well, do we know what channel this is going to be on?
Channel, I don't know.
Or what network is going to be putting this together?
Isn't it sad?
I like Matthew McConaughey, all right. I like Woody Harrelson, but I'm just not a big detective guy kind of viewer. So it doesn't really do anything for me, but it does sound like it's one of those stories that they have mapped out from the beginning to end. And I do much more prefer to watch a show that has, a plot already laid out as opposed to, well, fuck, what week are they, what are they doing this week? So I don't know. I'll wait to see some more stuff to come out before I decide whether or not I'm going to completely dismiss it or actually want to watch it. And it is brief, and I do like that.
And you gotta figure these guys they both have lucrative movie careers. So the fact that they're going to do a TV series means that they believe in whatever it is.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Woody Harrelson especially is like coming back from not having one for some time. And now he's getting all kinds of offers. Mm-hmm. And McConaughey is always pretty much in demand, just for some degree. So I think they're doing this because they want to do it and they believe in it. And I think that's pretty cool. And only 8 episodes sounds to me like a miniseries type deal.
Can you imagine the amount of pot that's going to get smoked on that set? Wow.
That's so much weed.
You get contact high just pulling up.
Well, look for that, True Detective. If we hear more about that, we'll be sure to let everybody know. Each week we talk about anything we've seen really quick, kind of the speed round, they like to call it. The Justified season finale was on just last night, and Brian and I both saw it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Justin, did you see it?
No, I get it on iTunes. It hadn't downloaded yet. It may be downloading now.
Damn!
Shit, I ain't caught up to it.
Well, basically, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Raylan, obviously
Raylan dies.
Yeah. The show's over. The events from last week lead to Raylan going on kind of like a rampage, trying to find out who caused those events.
Get Albino Boy.
Albino Boy did show up. Quarles, Robert
that boy's
Quarles.
Freaky.
He's awesome though. He's fantastic. And the thing I like best about it, and I can say it without spoiling it, is that a lot of these shows, especially nowadays, the serialized shows, they always end with a cliffhanger, which I'm more of the fan of. If you're gonna have a serialized show, I don't mind if you give me some strings for the next season just to keep me coming back, but I don't like to be left with a huge cliffhanger because I feel like when the series completes its arc, there should be an ending to that arc, and then you can add some new storylines if you want. I don't mind those kind of cliffhangers, but I hate when the storyline goes and then it continues to like The Killing, perhaps. Complete what that story is, and they do a really good job, I thought, Brian, of taking this episode, completing the season out, but also starting a thread for the next year.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job with that, and kind of you tie up a number of ends, but you still kind of change the direction a little bit and start headed a different direction. So I thought it was a good wrap up for the season.
Yeah, it was really good. I was surprised.
Aaron, never watched Battlestar and never watch oh God, what was the other show that or Babylon 5. Both of those shows, every season you were left completely up in the air because it was from opening episode to the closing of the series was one long story. So if you don't like that kind of storytelling, yeah.
I watched all of Battlestar Galactica.
Then every season cliffhanger did the same thing.
Yeah, but I watched it on DVD, so I didn't have to stop.
Oh, I gotcha.
So if you're watching on TV is what you're talking about. You don't like to...
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to have to wait for 8 months, especially on a 13-episode series, because you got to wait like 8 months. That's a long time, man.
Can I Can I jump in
Yeah.
on that real quick? Since you're
Sure.
talking about, I actually just started watching the first season of Justified, because on your guys' glowing recommendation of it, I'm about 5 or 6 episodes in on the first season, and I'm really liking it. Obviously, I'm a little behind the game, but Raylan is a cool character. I like the different ways the story goes.
How many episodes have you seen?
About 5 or 6.
Oh, you're pretty
yeah.
far in.
He said that, but go on, Scott.
Sorry.
What I like about it, and again,
I
maybe
also
this-
said that I've seen Battlestar Galactica at least 6 times, but that's okay.
I know you said this is more of a serialized show, and it is. But what I kind of like about, at least so far in the first season, is that each episode is still kind of its own. I don't want to say monster of the week kind of thing like we talked about in Psych, but each episode wraps up. You can watch an episode without having to watch it. Although there's some characters.
The first season.
The first season, yeah. I'm looking forward to getting into the second and third seasons when hopefully that gets a little bit more.
Second
serious.
season's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the second
I'm excited,
season.
but he's a cool character, and I like how there's some like, wow, did that just happen moments. Like, you know, I mean, you're kind of expecting them a little bit now that I've watched them, especially watching the episodes that close together. You're expecting some of the wow moments, but I like the characters, I like the acting, and it's a pretty cool show.
It is a slow burn show. I mean, it's not. I think a lot of people think it's an action show because just you hear, oh, he's a gunslinger and all that stuff. It's not. It's really more of a drama. But man,
I just love his character too. He's just he's like cold as steel. Like
Yeah.
he's just very much cool, collected cat. Like he just he's awesome. I like him.
that's good.
So I'm liking it. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm looking forward to
certainly.
finishing that one out.
Brian, you saw what was the movie?
Darkest Hour. I'm interested to hear about this.
Yeah, Darkest Hour. The Timur Bekmambetov. That's my Russian director man crush, dude. He made Wanted, a few other pretty good movies and stuff. So not really. It's not as scary as what I was expecting. The action is kind of mediocre at best. There's really only a few moments, kind of with a little bit of intensity, where you're kind of, ooh, are they going to make it? Type of moments. There's one confusing moment, and have any of you guys seen it?
No.
No, I planned on renting it, but I haven't yet.
All right. Well, let me know when you do, because there is one part that I actually rewound it 3 times and go, what? How the hell did this happen?
Did you like it?
It was one of those that was in 3D, but I watched the 2D version, so it's doesn't look like I really missed a whole lot there. So there is some good character twist, though. One of those things where you kind of don't expect certain people to get certain things done to them. Overall, I'd probably give it about a 5. Yeah, 5 out of 10. It's entertaining. It's a good cable. Wait for cable.
Okay.
So.
And Justin, what show are you watching?
Everybody knows I'm a Desperate Housewives fan. Have been since it started. I don't care to apologize for it. This is its last season. And ABC, to try to fill the void, has started a new series called GCB, which I believe is based on a book, though I can't verify that immediately without suddenly filling the airwaves with the sound of me hastily typing at my keyboard. But it stands for Good Christian Bitches, and it's an evening soap opera kind of story in a similar mold to Desperate Housewives. Takes place in Dallas, Texas. It's filled with, these women who backbiters, supposedly Christian, yet everything they do is unchristian-like as you can imagine. It has some cute characters. I've watched the first 4 episodes. I don't think it's as strong as Desperate Housewives because it doesn't really. It's like it wants the villainy characters to have redeeming qualities, and for maybe 1 or 2 that's fine. But I really want somebody in there who's just an unrepentant bitch. And so far, I really haven't gotten that yet. But I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm watching it on Hulu Plus. Enjoying it for the most part. I'm curious to see where it goes. Not bad, but it's no Desperate Housewives yet.
Yeah.
This real quick in-depth reporting little tidbit. It is in fact based on a book. So go ahead.
In-depth reporting, really?
Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Rest in peace, Mike
I'm
Wallace.
breaking news here, motherfucker.
Shit, that news is broken. DVD.
Not to any of us.
DVD or Blu-ray release is April 17th. This
Good
is
day.
what?
It's a good day.
Oh yeah, that is a good day because Scott Clark gets 1 year closer to being a man.
Halloween, bitches!
That was really funny, by the way.
One outtake we wish we had. One outtake. March 31st is Halloween, fucker. Boom. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol finally comes out on Blu-ray and DVD on April 17th. Born to be Wild. Shame. That's where Michael Fassbender has his wiener hanging out.
That's what we all feel once we see it. Like, oh, God.
Yes. 7 Below. Speak for yourself. 7 Below. Ice Road Truckers Season 5. How's that show still on?
Season 5?
What is there to fucking talk about for 5 seasons? Really, they're just driving around on ice. That's it.
They've even got a couple of cute women driving these trucks now.
Oh.
That's how desperate they are to keep it interesting.
What's season 6 going to be? Oh, yeah. No, I don't fuck. The show is stupid. It's so stupid.
Have you seen that?
I watched it once because
they've even spun it off though. They've even spun it off to where they've sent guys out or sent some of the truckers out to like the Himalayas, South America, where they're driving they're not ice roads, but they're really crazy
the mountain
roads.
Passes and shit.
Right.
get out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're driving like these big giant rigs on a goat trail that's
Oh
about
my God.
8,000 feet, up a mountain.
They're really stretching for ideas. Have you seen the trailers for that show they got with the duck calls? The rednecks that make duck calls.
No, I refuse to.
How do you make
to
a TV
celebrate that bullshit?
Oh,
Anyway, and also Meet the Browns Season 5, which isn't any better. So that's what's coming out.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
Each week we do a flashback of a little known or obscure film that one of our podcasters has seen and hopefully can recommend to you. So when you leave the podcast, you can take one thing with you. This week, it's Scott's turn. Scott, what's your flashback?
I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this one because this is one that I'm a big fan of, and I'm going to preface my review of this by saying I don't want you to immediately tune off when I tell you what it is. Because, first off, it's not that old. It's only 2006, and it is a TV series, which I'm kind of cheating, but some of you guys have done a TV series. So, and yes, it is an anime series, and yes, it's subtitled. But if you can get over dealing with those two facts, this show is amazingly written, and I can't wait to watch it again. The series is called Death Note. I don't know if I might have talked to you guys about it in the past, but the story revolves around a really intelligent high school student by the name of Light Yagami. He finds a mysterious book that's called the Death Note, and after some experimentation, he discovers that if he writes a person's name in the book, they will soon afterwards die. He decides to use this newfound power to become a sort of anonymous vigilante and begins to rid the world of criminals and bad people and that kind of thing. So he becomes kind of a celebrity, even though nobody knows who he is. They give him the name Kira, which in Japanese means killer. Okay. So a lot of people are applauding what he does, but many, including the police, are frowning upon what he's doing, saying that he can't, he can't decide who lives and dies, that kind of thing. So where the story gets really interesting is the police hire this detective. He's really mysterious, and he goes by the name of L, just the letter L. And this guy is just as smart, if not smarter, than Light's character. And it gets very interesting because it becomes a cat and mouse game between these two characters, because neither know who each other actually is. They just know them by Kira and by the codename L. And so the whole time they're both trying to figure out who each other are without revealing who they themselves are.
Okay.
It really is an awesome story. It's not too long. The downside to the series is that it definitely climaxes pretty early on. Not early on, but like the last 4 or 5 episodes are kind of meh, but it peaks towards the end. But the episodes leading up to the climax are well worth the watch. It's one of those shows that I've watched that the writing is amazing. I'm sitting there watching this and going, wow, I can't believe that just happened. And for that to come into a show where it's number one, it's animated, number one, and number two, it's subtitled. And for me to get that kind of response from it, it was awesome. It's only 37 episodes, and each episode is 20 minutes. So it's not too much of a commitment. You probably get the same commitment watching a full series or something else. I can't recommend this enough. Just like I said, don't be turned off by it just by the simple fact that it's Japanese animation and that it's subtitled. I'm telling you, this story is really, really good, and it's definitely worth checking out.
And what's it called?
It's called Death Note. It's so good. There are a couple, and not to be confused, because there was a live action series that they made with it. Actually, I think it was 2 movies. It's not as good. And if you do watch it, if you try not to watch the dubbed version of it, where they do it with American voices. I know it's really tempting to do that, so you don't have to read it, but the voice acting is terrible. It's really worth it to watch it with the subtitles. It is available on Netflix. You can get it there, and it's also available on iTunes. It's kind of expensive on iTunes, though. It's like $60 for the whole season. So unless I'm misunderstanding that, but if you can get it on Netflix, really, really check it out. Especially Justin. I think you would. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but
I've heard of it.
The writing is so good. It's just each episode is just really, really clever. I really want to know what you think of it if you get a chance to watch it.
Okay, now let's move on to Stump the Hoe, what our answer is. Brian, can you repeat the question? Because I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you remember what it was? Because it seems like you got a
Not
fumble
really.
for it.
Why don't you draw a box?
I'll make something up.
Why don't you draw a box?
All right, how many films personally produced by Walt Disney have been nominated for the Best Picture Academy Award? 0, 1, 2, or 3. Scotty and Justin said 0. Aaron said 1, and the answer is 1.
What? I'm right again.
Which one was it?
Mary Poppins.
I already knew that.
Now, Beauty and the Beast was nominated back in '91, but Walt Disney was dead way before that. So
that's why I wasn't sure, because I knew Beauty and the Beast got nominated for Best Picture.
Look at you saying you didn't know, but you actually did.
I knew that Mary Poppins got nominated.
That's bullshit. Little Mermaid was better.
Than Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't even fucking.
I don't know.
This.
Clamshell
right.
bra. That works for
It's
me.
clamshell titties, man. That's a win every time.
Let's go into our From the Outside In topic. This week we're going to take a listener's email and kind of just converse about it a little bit. Our listener Sean wrote in. He said, I find it interesting that Netflix and Redbox is being blamed for the drop in volumes, because last week we talked about how studios basically have lost $20 billion or half their revenue, and they're blaming Netflix and Redbox as being the reason that they're losing that money. He goes on to say, I believe an overall trend in the current generation is to not own things. Car leasing, for instance, has gone up significantly over the last 10 years. One, because of cost, but mostly because of a general change in attitudes. Why own something when you can get access to it anytime you need it? The industry itself releases digital copies and streaming backups. At some point, all movies will be available on demand, so they should make better deals when selling rights. Guess we should blame the library for free movies as well, Sean. So the question is, what do you think the future holds for us? Is physical media going to go away permanently? What do we think?
I would have to guess yes. I mean, we all thought that DVD was going to be the end-all be-all format, or at least I did. And now I'm looking to replace all my DVDs with Blu-rays. I mean, digital media is the next step, both on the film side and the game side. I mean, we're going to get to the point where it's not needed anymore.
I kind of like owning stuff.
I don't think it's ever going to go completely away, because I'm kind of with you, Aaron. I like owning something, and if God forbid the internet suddenly goes down, well, then there goes every fucking TV show and movie and song that I own. If you have a physical copy, then unless it's one of those things where it has to check and verify versions, having a real copy means something. But it is changing, and for these companies to say, Netflix and Redbox, this is your fault. Who sold them the fucking movie?
Yeah.
Who gave them those movies? You did. So don't act like just because they're being incredibly successful at their business model, somehow they've screwed you. You sold your stuff to them. You made them a distributor. It's up to you to make a better deal. So if you feel like they're cutting into your money, when you go back to renegotiate, ask for more money. But I thought it was a stupid argument back then, and hearing Sean talk about it here, it makes it even stupider. But I do agree with Scott, though, in that I am buying much less physical media than I used to. I used to buy just about every TV show I liked when it hit DVD, every movie I liked, and I've become a lot more choosy about what I buy, especially if I know that it's on Hulu or it's on Netflix. I might not buy it, but there are some movies that I do still buy, so I'm kind of in that middle ground.
Do you ever stare at your wall of media and just go, look at how much money is in this and how much of this am I actually watching on a regular basis?
I do. Sometimes I'll look at it. I'm like, all right, of all these DVDs I own, how many have I watched in the past year?
Mm-hmm.
And I can barely pick at half a dozen.
Yeah.
Because now I'm mostly renting them through iTunes, or I'm purchasing them through iTunes, and now they're sitting on a hard drive. And usually those came free with the physical copy. I love it though, the movies that come with a free digital copy.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've just gotten over owning copies of movies. I say that in my Blu-ray collection I've probably got about 25 Blu-ray movies now. Mm-hmm. But I get to the point where I don't care anymore. My wife really wanted to own the Muppets. Mm-hmm. And I said, why are we going to own this movie? Why buy it? We've seen it. We're going to buy it. We'll watch it once, and we probably won't watch it again for another 6 months. And at that point, the movie could be down to $15 or something. Mm-hmm. But no, we got to buy it because we really like it. So we bought it. We watched it once, and I guarantee we're not going to watch it again for forever. Not only that, but I'm the kind of person that I when I own a movie, I want someone to see it. I'll say, oh yeah, you can borrow it, and then I never remember to ask for it back, kind of thing.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah. So
told me to play that shit.
But to go back to what Justin said about digital,
he doesn't
media,
remember to bring him back either. Don't feel bad for him.
I'm going to finish Prison Break. I just got a little butthurt over the ending being ruined. So. But what Justin was saying about digital media, I don't think digital media necessarily means you have to have an internet connection either. I think the idea of having, like, even owning it on a device where, like, you have it uploaded or downloaded.
Yeah, I don't think Sean's trying to allude that it's all going to be, like, in the cloud.
Mm-hmm. But I would much rather pay a cheaper price to own a digital version of it on my media device as opposed to a physical disc.
See, that's where I disagree, because the reason I like physical media is I can take it somewhere. And people say, well, you put it in the cloud and you can download it wherever you are. You know what? There are places where there is not internet connections. Mm-hmm. There are places where there is not Wi-Fi. I don't want to have to worry about that. If I pay money for something, I should be able to take it and put it on whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't be limited. And I think at this point, digital media is still limiting. Like I take a trip out to the mountains a couple times every year. That's what I like to do. Trust me, there's no internet there. So I'd like to have a physical media that I could take with me. Now, digital copies are okay because I can put those on an iPad or something like that and take with me. But to have it in the cloud or something wouldn't work for me. I could never watch it. Netflix doesn't work there. So those kind of things, I don't, for me personally, like my favorite movies, I don't think physical media for me is ever really going to go away. Mm-hmm. I want it to some degree. I want to own it. The movies that I would probably watch maybe once or twice, I'm fine with that. I don't mind if those are digital media or something like that. But I can't imagine that people are going to want everything on digital. At some point, it's got to implode. I think at some point we have to. But
look at this. Look how far we've come in the past 10 years. You know,
yeah, that's true.
Since 2002, we didn't have Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. I don't think.
No, we had just DVD.
You know, I mean, DVD was just by far the largest format out there. We didn't have Blu-ray. Not a lot of people were downloading movies. I believe you could still download a few on iTunes or something like that. But we have come a long way in just the last 10 years. Where do you think we're going in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
I mean, it's this stuff is being phased out from a business sense. If I can release all the movies I want online or in a cloud or whatever, and I don't have to pay the extra money to produce all of these DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, then it just makes sense to go that route. Now to get the rest of us consumers to sort of, I guess, buy into their model, that's going to take some time. And I agree, in the short term, I don't see it going anywhere. Long term, and that's 15 years more, I see it going away, if that long.
Really? You think all physical media is just going to go away?
Well, I mean, you can still buy,
just like records are.
You can still buy CDs, so they're not. It's not going to completely. I guess it won't completely go away, but for your average consumer, it's going to be digital, and there's going to be ways that you can download it while you're up in the mountains.
And remember, right now we're talking about us and our experience with it, and even Scotty, we're not kids. we grew up in an age of physical media, but you talk to my niece and nephew who are, 12 and 13 years old, and
Yeah, they weren't recording songs on a cassette tape.
they're not making fucking mixtapes on
Off the
a cassette.
radio.
That's how
They're
you
not
that's how you got
recording
laid when
shows
I was
on
a kid.
VHS. Everything they do is download. It's all digital.
Yep.
And that generation, shit, you show them a VHS tape and they're going to go, what dinosaur did that come from?
Well,
And so we are a dying generation, and physical media, I think, will die with us.
Well, not only that, but I mean, granted, we're kind of an anomaly because we watch a lot more movies than the average person probably does because we do this show. But for me, owning a movie, I would much rather be renting something new than watching over again something that I own. Does that make sense? I don't know. As I'm getting older, my time becomes a lot more valuable, and I'd rather be seeing a new experience than rewatching something, no matter how much I like it. There's going to always be some favorites. I've got my favorite movies, obviously, that
that's fair
I can
enough.
watch over and over again. But I'd rather spend my time having a new experience with a new film or a new TV show than spending the money to own something that I'm going to watch maybe 2 or 3 times in the next 10 years.
Yeah, and one of the things that draws me to buying a Blu-ray or in the past a DVD were the extras. I want to hear, one of my favorite things was Robert Rodriguez movies, where he basically tells you how to make a movie for, little money. And I thought that was fascinating. Not that I was going to go out and film a movie for a couple of $1,000s, but
And a breakfast burrito.
yeah. But
Yeah, it was just his little cooking segments.
Yeah, and
funny.
there was he would talk a lot about the special effects from some of his movies, which were fascinating. He's like, oh yeah, that's some oatmeal and red dye or something like that,
That's cool.
stuff like that. And it was that we crafted a potato gun that shot it against a wall to give it that splatter effect, stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's those things that I get a kick out of with the hard copy of stuff, so to speak.
And the last thing I would mention is every year, cell coverage not only gets broader, but it's getting faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I can easily see a day where 10 years from now, you could be on the highest peak of an Appalachian mountain and you are getting 10G cellular speeds. And so that idea of I'm not in the cloud would no longer exist. Right. No matter where you are, you have access to the internet. So there will be that day. Everything will be in the cloud and we'll all just be streaming it down.
I gotta ask you
right?
guys,
And that's when the Matrix happens.
That's right. That's when we jack in and say, fuck it.
I gotta ask
right
you guys.
now we already live in a time of Star Trek stuff
Yeah.
from 30, almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Where's my flying car, bitch? That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
I got my
working on it.
tricorder right here. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
There's actually, if you look on Yahoo, there is actually an article in the last 3 days about a car that flies.
Yep.
It's funny you say that. But
I
we've
read
got
that.
phones that you can talk to face now.
While you're
So-
downloading porn at the same time.
Well, that is our topic. If anybody has any ideas for next week's topic, be sure to email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. We'd love to hear your ideas. Tune in next week. We will have a Cabin in the Woods review
All
from
of us.
some or all of us. Hopefully, each one of us are going to see it.
Thanks, Sean, for the email.
Yeah, thanks,
My
Sean, for
brother
the
and I
email.
are gonna go see it.
And thank Dustin for the review. What did you say?
My brother and I are going to go see it.
Oh, he said
Hey.
he's probably not gonna go see it.
Oh,
He's
I-
gonna come
fuck
late to
no.
the party again.
I'm not going to be late to this party.
All right, good man. I want to thank each of the podcasters. Brian Williams, thanks for being here. Thanks, buddy.
Your pleasure.
At Brian WMS on Twitter. Justin McCumber, he's also the host of the Dead Robot Society. It's a podcast for writers by writers. Justin, thanks for being here.
Thanks for letting me on, and thanks for Brian's stalker, Susan, for sending me emails saying such nice things about Haywire. She loved it, and I think all of your listeners would love it too. So they should go buy it too.
Hey, God, you're such a pimp. Haywire is in stores now, or it's in Amazon.com. It's available on Nook and Amazon Kindle, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
all
on the Kobo now. Don't hate to play you. Hate the game, bro.
You can also find him at justinmccumber.com. Scott Clark, thanks for being here as always.
Thanks for putting up with me, man.
I'm going to start calling you Dapper Dan because, man, he's all dressed to the nines whenever he comes over for this.
I look
He's
good in a
bona
suit.
fide.
He's also the host of the Official Thread podcast. That's a monthly now gaming podcast that Scott does, and it's available at Official Thread. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Game on.
And how you can find Game On. How you can find us is at thehollywoodoutsider.com. That's thehollywoodoutsider.com. Be sure to stay through the credits. There's usually a couple outtakes at the end. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutider. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes. Please subscribe and review us if you could. If it's positive. We don't really want any negative ones. Also go to Zune, Google Reader, listen on your Stitcher Radio app, and give us a thumb up. Give us a thumbs up if you do. Or just a plain old RSS feed. I can't fucking talk to save my life this week. Remember, the next time you go to the theater, buy popcorn.
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home.
For a presidential candidate?
Sounds like he's zipping up.
Yeah,
What's he been doing?
who's taking his
Did you hear the
pants off?
zipper all the way from over there?
Yeah.
He's got to wipe it off first.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not the audiobook. So
And he is politics aside. I love John McCain. When he ran the first time, that was the first Republican I would have voted for.
I had no problem with him. I had a problem with the fact that he may die soon, and that dumb bitch going to get the button. No, not on my watch.
all right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here.
Where are you going? Going to the bar?
No,
You are too.
going home.
Got some cake stands to do.
Got some cakes.
Hold on, where's my Sharpie? Shit, where are you going to be?
You're going to talk to him, or are you just going to ignore that
Oh,
question?
I'm just ignoring it.
I'm just gonna laugh that one off. And just,
He, he. Yeah,
they'll see something shiny and forget about it. Squirrel.
Hey, look, sequel news: X:Men, First Class 2.
Shouldn't it be second class or coach? Maybe this is a call it. X-Men.
why are you wasting good jokes?
Shit. We can still do it. Are we ready to go?
Well, fuck you. You spent 45 minutes telling me every Mass Effect story.
You fucking ass, bitch.
I think he was wanting to know the ending.
I think he was wanting to know the ending too.
Well, but you can't understand the ending's controversy if you don't know what led up to it. Hey, fucking don't call down the thunder and get bitching when your ears are ringing.
Well, the next piece, and this goes back to we have to reboot every single franchise we have. Universal's going forward with a darky.
Wow, and it's
Oh
See?
my God.
Irreverent. I'm not starting over.
oh shit.
Leave.
For me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're unable to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. You said my love is blind, I just gotta clear my mind, and all I Yeah.